up, Philly?
Shen, one-timer, scores! Line to strike, doesn't shoot. On the other side, one-timer, Pavlik saves, Simmons scores on the rebound!
Now, Andy Robb, Ken Prell, the Philly Hockey Guys.
All right, some dancing music. We got a win.
Yeah, finally, after losing how many? 6?
48, I think. I think they lost 48 in a row.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Philly Hockey Guys podcast. It took a good while to get another one done. In fact, we did have one done on Friday, but then when we went back and listened to it, tons and tons of technical problems with it. It was all distorted. It sounded like crap. Basically, the recording quality was reflective of the Flyers' play on ice over the last few games.
At that time. But now, we got a winning streak. Can one game be a winning streak?
I guess. For this team, yes.
I don't understand it. Again, they go up and play a good team in Winnipeg, end up getting the win, and then they play down to these teams like Calgary and Edmonton. This team just has me banging my head against the wall.
Speaking of people getting banged against the wall, the Flyers almost killed Connor McDavid, too. Well, Brandon Manning specifically.
Yeah, ouch.
Oh, well. I don't really have anything else to say about that. But anyway, welcome to the podcast. It's been a while, but we're glad to be back again. I'm Andy Robb.
Ken Prell.
And we're going to have a longer podcast coming a little bit later this week. This is kind of a short one to wrap up so far this Canada trip and all the things that have happened in between. Flyers getting losses to Edmonton, to Calgary. But finally, our favorite city, Winnipeg, gives us a win.
I really think it's attributed to us.
You think so?
I'm sure there was like a bunch of Flyer fans there who'd be like, hey, Flyers, you got to win this one for the Philly Hockey Guys. This is our town.
Speaking of people that listen to the podcast that went out and about, shout out to a listener of the show, Ethan, who lives in Calgary. He was actually at the Flames Flyers game the other night and sent us some pictures. They were pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good to see, although he got to see a crappy game.
He did get to see them at least score, right?
Good point. Good point.
So there's that.
But, wow, do we have a goalie controversy now?
I knew that question was going to be asked either by you or by somebody else, and I'm still saying no. But, man, has Neuwirth really been stepping up and really playing well above expectations as we wait for Mason to bounce back, maybe come back from whatever things may be bothering him or whatever he needs to deal with. He's been doing one hell of a job.
Yeah, well, if you go to Flyers.com, you can see the first thing that pops up, perfect 1-2 punch in net.
Wow.
Do you ever think you would live to see today when the Flyers had two competent goalies, two outstanding goalies, two all-star type goalies?
Over the last few seasons? No, not at all. But that is a very nice sight to see, and hopefully that keeps going.
Well, the Flyers are now 5-6-3 on the season. 3 of those wins have been shutouts by Michael Neuwirth. How amazing is that?
It's pretty impressive. I mean, there's no way to slice and dice it. Everyone would probably agree. Hey, that's pretty impressive. That's quite a feat.
Single-handedly responsible for most of the wins this year. That's how sad it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty bad when you got a team that's just, hanging you out to dry, not giving you very much scoring support or some competent defense. But, yeah, I mean, the guy's been putting on a clinic.
Yeah, I can't even talk about the defense right now. I mean, it is just painful to watch.
Well, I mean, there's some facets of the offense that aren't playing well either. They're not producing at all, and it's starting to cause some frustration.
It was good to see the power play get going the other night.
Yeah, it was about time. We knew that it was going to pick up at some point, but, some are sooner than later, I guess. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy because, again, they would not give us an S. Subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, TuneIn, all that stuff.
All right, so the Flyers now in 6th place in the Metro Division.
The Metro Division.
And back at it again tomorrow night, finally back home, Colorado in town.
So, yeah, Avs are going to be taking on the Flyers tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, puck drops for that. Should be an interesting game tomorrow night. Not really sure what to expect out of this because it's like, you say one thing, oh, the Flyers are going to come out strong. They don't. You say, oh, the Flyers, they're terrible, we're giving up. They're all eating Milky Ways. They come out and they actually win. It's just so aggravating to watch, to try to, understand, especially when we got to do this podcast, because it's like, if they don't play well, we don't have a whole lot to talk about. And it's just aggravating trying to figure out, what are those strengths, but also, for so many more, what are their weaknesses? And it seems like it just changes from like day to day, week to week as the schedule goes on. It's like one day they can't clear it out of the defensive zone. Another game they can't get it into the slot. Another game they can't get it out of the neutral zone. Their penalty kill is dropped off. The power play, all they do is pass. No shooting lanes are open, or they just don't shoot. There's so many different things. You can just go down the list.
I mean, if you want to play a really fun drinking game and be obliterated by the end, just take a shot every time you hear Jim Jackson say, odd man rush.
Either that or every time Hackstall says, because they're both. You'll probably get the exact same results.
You have to wait for Hackstall until after the game. So you can do it two ways. But during the game, I'm just tired of hearing odd man rush. And you're just hanging your goalie out to dry every day. It's no wonder Mason doesn't want to get back in net right now.
Can we go back in time, though? Because it's like, hey, you may have a good goalie. You may have an average goalie. You may have one that's terrible. But you know what? Hey, am I wrong? Or did that same thing happen with Bobrovsky, with Brizgalov, with these goaltenders that, are decent enough, but they just get hung out to dry completely by the team that's in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Flyers gave up on Bob probably way too early, although if you look at that trade now, it looks pretty good. Basically getting Mason in return for him.
Yeah.
And Briz, let's just face it, he wasn't that good of a goalie.
Yeah.
He was entertaining, though.
No, Briz was a decent goalie. I mean, he did set some franchise records for the team in the short amount of time that he was here. The guy got a lot of flack for some things. Okay, ducking it with the puck, yes, I understand. But there are some other instances.
Falling asleep on the bench.
Well, when you look at this team and the way that their goaltender gets no help and no support, it's like, have things really changed that much since Briz was here? Because he faced the same problems. Now, I'm not going one way or the other. I'm not saying, Briz is better than Mason. Oh, we should have kept Brizgalov, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to illustrate the point, saying the skill and the competency of the goalies may have increased over the last few seasons, but in terms of the support and help that they've been getting, it has pretty much remained the same.
Well, it all comes down to the defense, and this is one of the biggest problems that the front office, specifically Holmgren, really kind of killed the Flyers. Once Pronger went down a couple years ago, they never found anybody to replace him. They tried it with McDonald, with Streit. These guys, they're not at the quality that a Pronger was. And now you're hoping that Hextall has brought in a couple young guys, and you'll have that type of defenseman here in the next year or so. But until then, it's just going to be more of the same. And if we're lucky, this is maybe a wild card team. I'm not really sure. Right now, they're on the outside looking in.
Which is, pretty much hand in hand with what comes from an early start of a Flyers season.
All right, well, before we wrap up this short little episode, why don't we do a little preview of tomorrow night's game against Colorado?
Real quick, before we get to that, you mentioned this very briefly, and of course, I want to touch on it because you talked about a certain player, certain defenseman. Congratulations, Chris Pronger, getting into the Hockey Hall of Fame. It was announced today, so good for him.
That's right, well-deserved. Still wish we would have got that cup in 2010. I'm going to go over here and cry now.
Just here, have a Milky Way. You'll feel better. All right, so yeah, congratulations to Prongs on that. Let's get to some predictions. And coming up this week, it's been kind of a slow couple days with all these games, with all these losses. I think coming up this week at some point, let's just do a sticker and trading card giveaway for a few people.
Works for me.
All right. We'll have a post on Reddit Flyers. Also, coming soon, one of your favorite segments is coming back on the show.
We're not doing Facebook rage-inducing comments, are we?
No, the team's rage-inducing enough. The other one.
Next question?
That's right.
Oh, yes!
Next question is going to come back. If you have questions for the show or what you think about the season so far, so on and so forth, we'll make a post on Reddit Flyers. You can also submit it to us on Twitter or on Reddit Flyers or on our Facebook page, or email them to us. You got any questions? We'll do our best to try to answer them with a new edition of Next Question.
No, it's Next Question!
Oh, my ear. Coming at some point this week, and keep listening for your chance to win some prizes.
All right, so predictions tomorrow night. This looks like it could be a win for the Flyers. Colorado not off to the greatest of starts this year, 4-9-1 on the season, so actually a little worse than the Flyers.
So you know what that means. We're going to lose to them.
Yeah, it'll be a 6-0 shellacking on home ice. No, I think hopefully they've built something off of this Winnipeg game. The power play looked good, so hopefully they can keep that going. I can't see them losing this game. I'm going to go Flyers win 4-2.
Okay, I was somewhere in that range. I was going to say Flyers win 3-1.
Very nice. There we go. All right, so that'll be an official winning streak then. 2 games in a row.
Yes, 2 games will classify as a winning streak. So, yeah, I'm going to say 3-1. Flyers get the win tomorrow night against Colorado. Goals are going to be scored by Wayne Simmons, I think, is going to get another one. He looked really good the other night. I'm going to go with Claude Giroux again, in addition, and got to go with something out there. Goal number 3, Radko Gudas.
Wow.
Yeah, you like that one?
That's really going out there.
That's bold.
I don't know who's going to score the goals. I'm just going Voracek, 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 Voracek. It's got to happen.
Okay.
Right?
So one of those is going to be one.
Yes.
Okay. So
I hope so.
Yeah, well, so do I. I don't think there's any person out there that's saying, I hope Jake Voracek doesn't score, unless if it's some idiot with a voodoo doll poking it with pins and Milky Ways. You're going to be lackadaisical. Do you like my voodoo doll? It looks like you.
Oh,
Do you see that?
that explains the pain.
Here, watch this. Ow!
All right, here we go. Let's wrap this one up then.
Today's Philly Hockey Guys podcast brought to you by Jerry's Custom Voodoo Dolls. Jerry's Custom Voodoo Dolls. When you have it in for somebody in your life, poke them in the leg with Jerry's Custom Voodoo Dolls.
Everyone, thanks for listening. Hopefully you're still with us. We'll talk to you later on in the week. Let's go Flyers. For Andy Robb, I'm Ken Prell. We are the Philly Hockey Guys. Ow!
See? This voodoo doll, it works.
Stop it!
Just click on the voodoo doll and enter the code PHG Podcast to get your free voodoo doll today.
Get out of here.
I'm going to leave. So go Flyers. Check us out on Twitter and all that good stuff. Actually, we have a voice guy that tells you that stuff, so.
Yeah, listen to him.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like the Philly Hockey Guys podcast page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy and subscribe on iTunes, TuneIn, and SoundCloud.